This is Radar for On the Radar Entertainment Blog, coming another edition of Movie Reviews and Observation. This is episode number 25. It's been 25 weeks since the libraries in my area shut down completely. Gone through the 1 month's worth of displaying library. Gone through the couple of movies that can be on Hoopla, Canopy, or my friend's Netflix. And I've been using that site, Gujara. Library then opened back up in a way where you could take out stuff from the bookmobile and stuff, and that's what I've been watching. And sometimes filling in the movies that I'm unable to watch that they don't have from the internet. The first movie I watched was a foreign film called Pain and Glory. It kept going back and forth between when he was younger, when he was older, Penelope Cruz playing Antonio Banderas' mother back in the day. But then it shows him current day where he's battling addiction. He's trying to battle addiction, aches and pains all over the place, and he's like a famous director, and everybody wants to be in his movie and meet him, blah, 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 blah. So he's self-medicating with drugs and alcohol because he's always in pain from something. So the whole theme of the movie is, he's an old man who's a director, and he's in pain all the time, and he's gay, yada, yada, yada. I sit through this movie, and you're going, this is almost 2 hours. I gotta sit through this. And despite the library copy saying in Spanish, French, or English with subtitles in English and French, it was not in English. It was called descriptive English, and it's telling me the word Sony on the screen, that they're white colored on a blue screen, this, and that. It's supposed to be, if it wasn't filmed in English, you get somebody like in those anime movies to speak and their mouth to move syncly with it. That would have been fine. Because to sit through this drog of a movie with a horrible plot, it's just like, sorry, Antonio Banderas, this is definitely not a worthwhile movie. Then the next movie that I watched was Like a Boss. And Like a Boss, it was a very, very short movie, so that helped it out. And at the same time, I love Salma Hayek, but she was playing a crazy woman. And this basically Tiffany Haddish and Rose Byrne, who I'm kind of tired of Tiffany Haddish movies, just to be frank with you, have a cosmetics company and a store, and they're going through problems. And Salma Hayek is a big-time person in the field, and she buys out small businesses, and it looks like too good to be true to buy 49% of the company, and then things start to unravel between the two lifelong friends. They have their own group of friends and things like that, and at the same time, they got to fire people in their company. Things are not going that great, and Billy Porter actually does a very good job of playing the makeup guy in the movie. But the thing that is interesting about this movie was they're trying to tell you, no matter what, friendship can happen. No, friendship can overcome everything. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. Not the worst movie that I've ever seen. Lucy Kudrow makes an appearance in there. And yeah, so overall, it was a pretty stupid movie, dumb, but sometimes when you have a long, rough day, you want to watch a short, dumb comedy, even if it's a badly put together movie, because you recognize the actors in there. So only watch that if you have, you don't care about if it's good or not. Then I watched the Doolittle remake. I grow up Eddie Murphy's Doolittle. Kyla Pratt plays his daughter eventually. There was another one before. They decide, you know what? Let's make it Robert Downey Jr. where he's been Dr. Doolittle. It's a tragic story, and the queen needs a help, and he's got to save her, and he's got some dude who wants to be an apprentice. And all the animals are voiced by famous people like Spider-Man, Tom Holland, Rami Malek, Emma Thompson. Antonio Banderas is in the movie again. Another Antonio Banderas movie. I've watched to do this on purpose. He plays his father-in-law. Michael Sheen from Prodigal Son. He plays the bad guy in the movie. Kumail Nanjiani, Octavia Spencer, Selena Gomez. If I keep going, all these people, Craig Robinson, Jason Montaigne, they're all voicing animals or insects throughout this whole entire movie. And it's a typical children's movie. They got to overcome something bad, and it looks like all their bad luck is down, and then things change their way, and they eventually succeed. Yeah, so overall, it was okay. There was some laughs here and there. I watched pretty much every Robert Downey Jr. movie because he's a very good actor, so I don't mind if this is a dumb, childish movie, and it's the second or third time they're remaking this movie or franchise, so it's just has a big-time actor. It was only an hour and 30-something minutes, so it's not that long either. So if you got children, yeah, you probably watch this movie with this kid. But you should definitely go back and watch the other versions as well. Then I watched Fantasy Island and the movie The Rhythm Section. Now, The Rhythm Section and Fantasy Island both look like they could be good movies. So Fantasy Island is a remake of the TV show, the fantasy TV show. But this twist is you get to the island and your fantasies do come true, but you have to let nature take its course for the whole entire fantasy to come out. So it may not be what you want. So that's the horror aspect of it. Oh, it's not as they seem to believe. Then there's like a plot twist of why they're really there, who's really the bad guy. It was interesting. And, you know, Maggie Q, I know her from a couple shows that have been canceled. And I also know Lucy Hale from Katie Keene. Her show's been canceled as well. And, of course, Michael Pena. I saw him in a bad movie recently, but now in this one, he's in charge of the island, stuff like that. I don't know why he agreed to be in a bad movie and then be in this remake, and they get you the unrated theatrical version. But the weird thing is, I watched Like a Boss this week, and I watched Fantasy Island. There are two brothers in the movies who are stepbrothers. One is played by Ryan Hansen, the other one's played by Jimmy O Yang. What is weird is that they played best friends in the cosmetology movie Like a Boss that's, you know, competing with Tiffany Haddish and Roses Byrne's character. And then I watch another movie where they're not best buds, they're brothers, and they're on Fantasy Island together. So it's interesting how maybe it's a contract the two of them make it where they got to be in movies together where they're doing things. I don't really know, but that was an interesting thing as well to see those people for some reason in both movies. And, you know, hour and 40-something minutes, not that long. The twist is something that is the only reason why you got to stick to this movie, because you're just like, who is this movie made for? Are people so hard up on Fantasy Island, the TV show, they got to remake it into a movie and have a horror twist and get Michael Pena and Maggie Q to waste their time in this movie? Like, guys, actresses like Lucy Hale and, you know, Yang and Hansen and the other people in there, they're not super famous. They're not a big-time project. So it's like, hey, I understand why they're in this movie. Michael Pena, I don't understand why he wasted the time with this movie. Blake Lively, I always see her in, like, girly, you know, dramas or romantic movies, so you can't even tell it's her unless you look at her face with a little birthmark in front of her nose. She's got short hair. Supposedly, her family died in a plane crash. Some journalists tell her that's not true. Some terrorist. And she's trying to look for this terrorist. And she bumps into an MI6 former agent that's played by Jude Law. And Jude Law, you know, it's a pretty good actor. I like pretty much most of his movies. And supposedly it's from the producers of James Bond. And he teaches her all these skills, which seem unrealistic in a short period of time. A woman who's distraught, who lost her family, her parents, her child, maybe, and her husband, maybe, whatever. And she's, you know, down in her dumps, you know, being a prostitute and things like that. And she can somehow become this cold-blooded assassin in a short amount of time and take down this terrorist and the person who's really pulling the string. And obviously on this day I was really tired and I was falling asleep through some of the movie, but you know, this movie listed as an hour and 40-something minutes. It probably could have been an 80 to 90 minute movie and still would have been the same effect. Sterling K. Brown's in the movie, so you go, Sterling K. Brown and Jude Law in this movie. And Blake Lively, I'm going to watch it. Yeah, it's a horrible movie. Nothing is like, it's just too unrealistic to think that this could actually be a character in a movie. So, yeah, I wouldn't waste my time with that movie. Then I watched Jumanji, The Next Level. And now, I'm somebody who loves Robin Williams, and Jumanji is one of my favorite movies of all time. It's one of the movies I probably watched more than once, and I really don't do that. I saw Jumanji, you know, Welcome to the Jungle. Now, one thing I'm tired of is when they make remakes of old movies or TV shows, they don't need to take the name if it's nothing really to do with it. Because, yeah, Jumanji was a board game, and this Jumanji is an old school, like, Nintendo 64 NES game system video game. If you don't know what those are 90s game console. And basically, Alex Wolff from Naked Brothers Band, he and his high school friends, high school buddy who's a football star, and these two girls, they get trapped in this game. And there's someone who's been trapped in the game forever, and his avatar is the smoldering, good-looking Nick Jonas. Everybody wants to be a pop, you know, the boy band, the guy from the boy band. And then, of course, the characters are Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, Jack Black and Kevin Hart, and Karen Gillan. So, of course, Jack Black is playing a fat, you know, professor who doesn't really have any abilities in the game. Kevin Hart is playing a short guy. You're like, what powers does he have? And, of course, Dwayne Johnson is just typical action star. So you want to watch this movie because you're like, Kevin Hart's funny, Jack Black is hilarious, Dwayne the Johnson is good in these action films. And the twist in this one is that they show Alex Wolff, you know, being in college. And his mother is the woman who played Alan Harper's ex-wife on Two and a Half Men. You know, Danny Glover and Danny DeVito in this movie. Danny DeVito plays Alex Wolff's grandfather who lives with them. Danny DeVito plays his old business partner, and they're there in the house. And of course, Alex Wolff feels like left out from all of his friends going to college and having fun, and he tries to go back into the game. And then they introduce a new character, and Awkwafina's in this movie, who I'm tired of seeing, but at least this time she didn't play the same role as before. She had to play a very specific role and pretend to be, a 20-something-year-old boy or an old man, so it was pretty interesting. And adding veteran actors like Danny Glover, and adding Danny DeVito to the movie made the movie much better and more watchable because they're good actors, they're good comedic actors. Have them playing off Kevin Hart and Jack Black is good. So overall, they added a twist to it. I wouldn't call it like an action movie. I would call it a sci-fi because it's some weird video game that traps you in there, and it's an adventure game and all the other stuff. So, for a movie that's almost 2 hours, it wasn't that bad. It's more of a, you watch the movie because, it's not that inappropriate. You can watch it with children for the most part, like teenagers. There's a lot of action and adventure going on. There's funny, laugh-out-loud scenes, physical humor in this movie. So, yeah, it's a type of movie, like I said, with Dr. Dolittle, where, you can watch, Dr. Dolittle and the next level of the Jumanji and be like, you know what? I didn't waste my time because they're a good children's movie. Like a Boss, you watch a dumb comedy. It's really, there was no point of remaking Fantasy Island in terms of, remaking stuff like Dolittle and Jumanji. Rhythm Section, not believable, not that great. And Pain and Glory, not that great. And the final movie I watched was called Dr. Sleep. And I didn't know when I requested this movie, put it on my list, that it's supposedly like a sequel to the Shining book from Stephen King or the movies. So I've never seen those because they're horror films that came out when I was a kid. And until I was like 15, I couldn't watch PG-13. Until I was like 18, I couldn't watch rated R movies. And Ewan McGregor from Star Wars and all the other films, he does a very good job at making you interested in a movie, but there's too many flashbacks to the past. Then there's other references I don't get it, maybe because I didn't watch the movie. And the creepy woman who supposedly has powers and she's killing other people. The young child actor Jacob Tremblay's in this movie. So it's interesting. And there's a girl who's also part of this movie. And all different aspects of the movie, how they all relate to him. There was an actor who I saw from a chess movie who was in there. Bruce Greenwood plays a doctor and, a recovery addict person that helps them and stuff. So it's nice to see him in the movie. But when a movie is an hour and 52 minutes, you're like, 2.5 hours? Really? Is this going to be like a superhero Star Wars sci-fi film that gets me through it? Or is it going to be a boring, drama? So it was kind of in the middle. It wasn't like an action-adventure movie or a superhero movie. It wasn't even, scary. There was some scary dreams and scary things going on. But it's more of horror things because of the killing. And it's more science fiction with the supernatural people with these abilities and hunting them and all these weird, creepy things happening. So it could be horror, but it's more like a mix of, adventure and supernatural and drama all together in one. And at the same time, it was nice to see Carl Lumbly in the movie. He's a very good actor from Justice League, Supergirl, etc. So it was nice to see him. But overall, this movie probably could have been, an hour and 40 minutes or just 2 hours, 2.5 hours, way too much. Maybe I have to watch The Shining in order to get some of the things. But a lot of this movie was all over the place, past and present, different story plots being all put together, different characters need to worry about. It's just, try to put it all, maybe if they put it all together and fit it all together, it doesn't have to be 2.5 hours, it can be an hour and 47 minutes, and there won't be confusing parts of the movie, and you can understand all these things. So, yeah, so overall, it wasn't boring, it wasn't that scary, but for 2.5 hours, the movie has to be the greatest thing I've ever seen in order for it to be something I suggest for other people to watch. But yeah, if you saw The Shining and you really want to watch this, go right ahead. So I was just, it was okay, it was pretty good. Don't watch Pain and Glory. Do not watch the Rhythm Section. The only good thing about Fantasy Island is the twist. Like a Boss, if you want to watch a dumb comedy and make some laugh. Same thing with Dr. Dolittle, kids movie. And Jumanji: The Next Level was probably the best movie I've watched this week not because it's a remake, not because it's a, good written all movie. It's got Danny Glover, Kevin Hart, Danny DeVito, Jack Black, Dwayne The Rock Johnson, Alex Wolff. Those are the reasons to watch it. Thanks for listening to another edition of Movie Reviews and Observation, episode 25. For On the Radar Entertainment Blog, I'm Radar. See you guys next time.